On behalf of the family, I want to thank you for gathering with us today, and thank you for every expression of your love and your encouragement during this time. Mimi was quite clear about her wishes. She didn't want a funeral. And yet, true to form, she still managed to gather a room full of people from different chapters, different countries, kitchens, tennis courts, ski slopes, and dinner tables of her life. And you know, that tells us something very important. The relationship that we've shared with Mimi is still there in our hearts and in our minds, and we'll continue to share in that relationship as we go forward, though in a different way. Today isn't about formality. It's about remembering a woman who lived her life boldly. She laughed easily. I think you could say she cooked generously. She loved deeply. And she approached life at full speed, sometimes literally. Mimi was a mother. She was a friend. She was a teammate and an anchor. Though anchor might feel like the wrong word for someone who was always moving, going a little faster than everyone else. Mimi wouldn't want us to stand in sorrow for too long. She believed, as she and her mother used to say, that every day is birthday. And birthdays, after all, are for stories and laughter and remembering what made someone unforgettable. In a moment, we'll hear the reading of Mimi's life and tributes to her. And as you listen, don't just hear where she went, but hear how she lived and hear how she loved you. And if you find yourself smiling or laughing or shaking your head thinking, that's so Mimi, you're doing this exactly right. So let's listen together. In loving memory of Amal Mimi Farhat, April 2nd, 1967 to December 17th, 2025, mother, friend, teammate, anchor. Amal Hassan was born on April 2nd, 1967 in Lagos, Nigeria, to her parents Ursula and Abdallah Hassan. She spent her childhood knocking down termite heels and smoking banana leaves on the beach. Mimi moved to Egypt in 1979 and lived in Cairo near the pyramids. At Cairo American College, she found and developed her passion for sports through golf, softball, and volleyball. Meanwhile, she spent her summers with her mother's family in Germany. Her family then moved to London, where she attended the American School. Mimi went on to pursue a degree in psychology at the University of California, Berkeley, before moving to Houston and working with her father. Following her time in the U.S., she moved back to London and lived with her mother, Ursula, as they renovated their home. She spent countless nights in the Kensington House's kitchen with her friends and Ursula, laughing and cooking. It was there that she learned how to cook from her mother and entertain guests. From Ursula, she also inherited an unbelievable eye for art and a passion for anything fur, leather, or reptilian. In 1992, while skiing in Courchevel, France, Mimi met Elias. They were married just 2 years later in Paris before moving to Dallas in 1995. Her first son, Anthony, was born in 1999, followed by her second son, Alexander, in 2000. Her family moved to Highland Park, Texas in 2003, where Mimi would continue supporting the family as its backbone and homemaker. She was always involved with her children's schooling and extracurriculars and made sure dinner was delicious and enjoyed as a family every day. In her free time, she was an avid tennis player and skier, often hitting the ball too hard and skiing way too fast. In 2005, her mother Ursula moved in with the family in Dallas. Mimi spent a lot of time with her mother and took care of her until her passing in 2010. In 2012, Mimi moved to New York City and lived on the Upper East Side with her family while spending her free time at the family home she architected and built in Big Sky, Montana. She moved back to Dallas in 2021 and passed away unexpectedly at her home in December 2025. Mimi is survived by her immediate family, her two sons, children, Alex and Anthony, and their father, Elias. Also surviving her is her aunt, Riki Rennebach, half-brother Robin Melchior, and cousins Peter, Uta, and Stefan. She considered Maya Kokmas, her closest friend and confidant, to be her sister. She leaves behind two cats, Janchi and Ghibli, whom she loved dearly. Those that knew her remember her sense of humor, her eccentricities, her wittiness, and her willingness to help those in need. It was Mimi's stubborn wish that she did not have a funeral, yet it was necessary to celebrate Mimi. She lived her life, as she and her mother said, every day is birthday, and we miss her. I want to welcome Anthony up to the mic, who's going to share with us next. Anthony.
Mom, you were like a mother to me. She loved that joke. I told her I'd say it at her funeral. Family, friends, teammates, supporters, and hopefully no lovers, thank you for being here. Everyone who knew Mimi knows there are no words that can describe who she was or the life she lived. I will do my best to speak to some of it. Originally, we were meant to have this memorial outside on the pavilion, which comfortably fits 30. As more people RSVP'd, we thought maybe people can be close and huddled together. Mimi would love that. We realized we underestimated Mimi and the people who love her. The first thing I want to speak about is her mysterious demeanor. As she walked by you, often in sweats or a t-shirt, Mimi would remain focused on what she needed to do and trot by like a horse. From the outside, she seemed innocent, quiet, and kept to herself. We all know that was just temporary. As soon as she reached her destination, one quickly realized she was a unicorn. Mimi was fiery, humorous, loud, and never shy to voice her opinion. She shared her flame with others, always doing her best to lift up the people around her, whether it was through laughter, cooking, or advice. She was pretty and aged like fine wine, but it wasn't until she put 5 minutes of effort into her aesthetic that people would call her beautiful, my friends included. She rarely dressed up, but when she did, she didn't do it for herself, she didn't do it for outsiders, she did it to make the people she knew happy. She was an empath, harmonizing with the people around her and sharing their emotions. The next thing I want to talk about is her selflessness. Day or night, sunshine or rain, Mimi supported her people. Whether you needed a shoulder to cry on, had a story to tell, or just wanted to chat, Mimi was always there. She was a chameleon, the person you needed her to be. She really cared about her loved ones and friends. In the last week, Numerous people have reached out to me expressing their love and support for my mom, people I had no idea were so close to her. One common topic kept coming up, hours on the phone with Mimi discussing life. I next want to talk about her recent years. There is no yang without yin, no light without darkness, and no laughter without sorrow. Even though Mimi lived beyond rules, she was no exception to the rules of life. For every joke she told, she endured sorrow. For every hug she gave, she suffered from loneliness. For all her wisdom, she was naive. There is no shame in mentioning that Mimi struggled. I want everybody here today, in person and on the live stream, to know and acknowledge that she finally pulled through. She was doing really well. Her energy was different. She was no longer doing things only for others and started doing things for herself. She learned to love herself. And that's what is so surreal about this whole situation to me. It feels like a sick joke. It seems like a story written by Mimi. She spent decades being okay with dying, and finally, she wanted to live. There were places she wanted to go, people she wanted to visit, and things she wanted to do. And now this. She had a sixth sense for calling me between work meetings when I was finally focused and trying to get work done. Honestly, I was usually annoyed by the phone calls, half because her ringtone was ducks quacking, and the other half because our conversations always took my focus away from work. Regardless, I always answered, and we usually spoke for 30 minutes to an hour, multiple times per week. We talked about everything and nothing, laughing, being existentialists, and talking about our upcoming plans. I would do anything to hear those ducks quack again. For her tennis teammates, she loved being on that court with all of you. She was hard on herself, competitive and expressive, not because she wanted to win, but because she set the bar so high for herself. For her friends, she loved all of you for different reasons. Please think about your entire relationship and not the best or worst days. Whether you knew each other for 50 years or 2 months, remember Mimi for who she was to you. That is what she would have wanted. For her Lebanese family, she loved spending summers there and found peace in the chaotic energy of the country. For her German family, she had so much pride when speaking about you all and was honored to share your blood. She definitely inherited her mother Ursula's stubbornness. For Elias, you had disagreements, but she always emphasized that you were a great father and super sharp. I think it's hilarious, but when we would talk about addiction, she always criticized you for being addicted to running, saying things like, "He needs to run every day to have a good day." Like, yes, Mimi, of course. For Alex, she loved you more than you can imagine. You reminded her of herself when she was 25. The last thing she texted was, "I hope you never have to compromise your integrity." I whispered to you both, Alex and you, stand your own ground. That is the right a parent must grant to the human they brought into this world. Kisses and see you soon. She will be missed by many and everyone. May she rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Elias, come share with us.
crushed it, Anthony. Tough act to follow. I'm going to give it a shot. Good morning, everyone. And for those of you on the stream, bonjour, guten morgen, sabah al khair, buenos dias, and boker tov. Mimi wanted the service to be a celebration of her life, joyful and full of good memories. So I'll try to honor her wish, although, as you know, she was the funny one in the family. But here we go. For the record, my suit is not black, it's gray. Just don't want to get in trouble. I think that I know everybody here, or almost. But for those who don't know me, she would have introduced me as, he's just the ex. I've known Mimi for 33 years, which is more than 12,000 days. And as you know, with Mimi, there were at least 5 stories a day, so it's tough to pick. I have selected a few themes about her that I would like to share with you, with a fun story for each one. First is about skiing. This is how we met. And for 33 years, we had an ongoing competition about who's better skier. She was a natural and she was fast. In fact, she had only one speed, 80 miles an hour. But I think that I had a better technique. But I can say now she was definitely a better skier. Second is about tennis. She loved tennis, and she was very good at it. She was also known as a ferocious competitor who was feared on the Dallas and New York circuits. I disagree with Anthony. She liked to win, actually. And if she was mad, she would hit the ball very hard back at you. And even sometimes you can get the racket on your face. Then there was the style, elegance, and simplicity. She had a sophisticated taste and natural class. Then there were these famous shopping marathons. You wonder what it is. So she would come with me when I went running marathons, especially New York and Chicago. And the deal that she gave me is that she would go shopping while I'm running until I finished the race. So needless to say, this motivated me to finish as fast as I could. But also simplicity. She would switch from designer clothes into sweats in a heartbeat. And when we lived in New York, she would dress very simply during the day, and often she would take the service elevator to go faster. And for the longest time, no one knew in the building that she was an owner, that she had an apartment there, and she did not care because she knew who she was. Compassion. Compassion for animals. As Alex and Anthony would testify, she brought all kinds of animals home. Numerous cats, of course, which she kept alive way past their life expectancy. But she also brought possums, turtles, mice, frogs, birds, and you name it. She even went to South Africa to save the meerkats. Compassion for people. She helped everyone, and touch many people's lives. Like this story of a worker who cut himself during construction work at our house, and she tried to stitch him, which would be a no-no for anyone given the potential liability. She ended up getting blood on her hands and her face, so she dragged him to the hospital to get him stitched. But she also had him tested for all kinds of diseases. So imagine the face of the doctors and the nurses. They had no clue what was going on. She was an incredible mother to our boys. She passed on great values for integrity, creative thinking, and love. And I'm very proud of both of them. She was very involved in their schools. And we had their friends over all the time, maybe because of her great cooking. Of course, the boys were often worried that she would get off script. And she did sometimes. I would say very often. Like this time we're coming back from Guatemala with Anthony and Alex when they were little. And she was wearing a poncho. And when the immigration officer asked if they were our children, she answered jokingly, "I hope so." And so we ended up in the interrogation room for a few hours. I would like to finish by talking about Mimi's friendship. Your presence here and on the stream during the holiday period speaks louder than words. She spent countless hours every day counseling her friends and helping them in good times and in bad times, unselfishly, but also in her own way. This one time we had a friend who was president of a large company for dinner with his wife, and he said that he was going to retire. So she told his wife, "You know, they usually die within a year after they retire." So he didn't die, but this dinner convinced him to go back to work within 6 months. That was her way of saying, "You are too young to retire." It's different, but it was very effective. So I am grateful that we remained friends. I had her back, and she had mine.
Elias, thank you. Now Celeste is going to share.
I think I'll be saying some of the same things Elias said. One thing I'd like to say before I get started is Mimi loved you boys so much, and she was so proud of the three of you. I know relationships can be complex, but she never had anything but lovely things to say about you guys. I know many of you have known her much longer than I have. I remember the first time I met her not long after they were married, and I can still remember what she was wearing, and I think a lot of us that didn't know her as long would say, "Wow, that doesn't sound like Mimi," but she was wearing a beautiful pink outfit and had a beautiful British-looking pink hat on. And I just remember thinking how gorgeous she was. We have known each other a long time, but it wasn't until the last 8 years that we really connected deeply. I'll go ahead and say what I've written. I know we're all gathered here to remember her, and I'm trying not to cry because I know she'd be cutting jokes right now. My mom passed away a couple of months ago, and at the funeral, she said, "I wonder which one of us is next." I never dreamt it would be Mimi. I always said, I know that you'll outlive me. But I want to honor her today and her bright, complicated person that she was. Let us laugh when she would want us to laugh, and be fiercely loyal when a friend needs us, and never be afraid to live life fully. Mimi meant so much to so many of us. To me, she was like a sister, someone I could finish sentences with, who understood my strange jokes and who celebrated the joys and stood beside me in really hard times. Mimi had an unusual razor-sharp sense of humor, sly intelligence, and sometimes baffling to those that didn't know her. Always delightful to those who did. She wore her complexity like a black badge of honor, and it made her the real and unforgettable person that she was. She felt things deeply. If you needed help, she was the first to show up and the last to leave, and she gave with no expectation in return. She loved to laugh and push boundaries and make ordinary moments into memories. The suddenness of her departure has left us all stunned and grieving, and yet in our sorrow there is gratitude for the stories she gave us, the lessons she taught us, and the loyalty and joy and warmth she shared so generously. She wasn't just a friend, but the sister I chose. We shared so many things, laughter and late night long conversations, and she loved to have fun. She thought deeply, she cared deeply, and cared for her family and friends immensely. Her passing leaves a huge space in our lives, and I know I'm not alone in saying how terribly she will be missed. I will carry her warmth with me always, as I know you all will as well.
Thank you, Celeste. Jody will come now and share. Jody.
So I, like all of you, really want to celebrate and honor Mimi for the person that she was. And I want to remember the life force that she was, the laughter that she brought, and the memories that each of us forged with her. And the instructions were to not make it sad, and not to wear black. Both of those things are pretty difficult. It's a big ask when we're being forced to say goodbye to such an extraordinary person whose life seemed to have been cruelly cut short. So Anthony and Alex, I got to see you guys grow up, and you're such extraordinary young men. I love you guys so much. And I know Mimi loved and adored you, and you know, she was so proud of you in that kind of fierce, unmistakable Mimi kind of way. And so I hope that who she was, her strength and her humor and her honesty, that you will carry that forward, which I'm sure that you will. And as you navigate this next phase of your life, just look at all the people that love you and want to help carry you through that part, because quite honestly, it won't, of course, be easy. And Elias, who spent practically his entire adult life with Mimi, I know that you're devastated as well. And I just want to also say to Maya, who should be up here but probably cannot, you were just such a dear friend to Mimi. And I know that it will be an ongoing struggle. It will be for all of us. It's the friends, especially, I have to say, Maya, who whole life will be interrupted because Mimi was there with her so much. And to all of the friends that are gathered here today, those of us who were lucky to have pieces of Mimi, I imagine that you feel the way I do, which is grateful that we had her in our life, but also shocked and heartbroken. So Mimi was certainly impossible to miss. She was a huge personality with an enormous presence and a physical beauty that did stop you in your tracks, even when she had on her t-shirt and sweats. She was funny in a way that sometimes shocked you, and certainly took people off guard. She knew more jokes than stand-up comedians. I mean, I can remember one of the early times skiing with Mimi, and her and Larry Epstein, and going back and forth with jokes. I mean, she could go hours with jokes. She was always fully herself. She was uncompromising in the best sense of the word. She didn't shrink herself to make others feel comfortable. And somehow that made the people around her feel more alive. And I think that if the end of our lives, if we can say that we lived by our own rules and did things exactly the way we wanted to do it, that's a pretty extraordinary legacy to leave behind. She had a way of filling the room. You always knew when she arrived, and you felt it when she left. Life in general was louder and richer and more colorful with her in it. Mimi leaves behind an absence that seems impossible to fill. She was always there with laughter. We had so many great memories together, and really she set a standard for how to fully live your life. I think knowing her has changed us, loving her has connected us, and we'll carry her with us and her stories and our friendships and the way that we show up for each other. So she would maybe want me to say something funny, but she would probably also know that I couldn't pull it off and that she was really a hard act to follow. So instead, I would ask all of you all to remember one of her impossibly inappropriate jokes and smile as you try, probably unsuccessfully, to repeat it to yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Jody. Please listen as I render this poem by Ezra Pound. It's called Envoy. Go, dumb-born book. Tell her that sang me once that song of laws. Hadst thou but song as thou hast subjects known, then were there cause in thee that should condone even my thoughts that heavy upon me lie, and build her glories through longevity. Tell her that sheds such treasure in the air, recking naught else but her graces give life to the moment. I would bid them live as roses might, in magic amber laid, red overwrought with orange, and all made one substance and one color, braving time. Tell her that goes with song upon her lips, but sings not out the song, nor knows the maker of it. Some other mouth may be as fair as hers, might, in new ages, gain her worshippers, when our two dust with Waller shall be laid, siftings on siftings in oblivion, till change hath broken down all things save beauty alone. Mimi loved movement. She loved conversation. She loved food on the table, people lingering, and laughter that carried on longer than planned. She believed that life was meant to be shared, preferably over a good meal, perhaps, with stories that wander and with people who stay a little while. So instead of saying farewell, we'll do something much more her style. In just a moment, you're invited to continue celebrating Mimi's life at the reception that follows. This gathering isn't an afterthought. It's part of the celebration. It's where more stories will surface, where you'll hear, do you remember when? And where Mimi would very much expect you to eat, to talk, and to stay a while. We're deeply grateful to Tammy Hartnett for so generously hosting the reception. Thank you, Tammy, for creating a space that reflects warmth and welcome and the kind of hospitality Mimi cherished. And thank you, Jody Shelton, for your help in organizing this as well. As you go, carry this with you. Mimi's light was real. Her laughter mattered. And as she believed, every day is birthday. Thank you for being here and for loving her and for continuing the story together.